Okay, good morning, 8th graders. Today we're continuing on with our Civil War unit, and today our main focus is going to be talking some about Abraham Lincoln and his accomplishments, but mostly talking about some of the North's main accomplishments throughout the Civil War. Here, I'll do this. We're going to begin class today with a warm-up like we always do, and in your warm-up journals, I want you to first take a minute to think and brainstorm about this question and write your responses. So I kind of want to just test out to see what you know about Abraham Lincoln before we start today. I want you to answer the question, how do you think Abraham Lincoln and his accomplishments impact your life today? If you're only able to say something about Abraham Lincoln but not necessarily know how he impacted your life or his accomplishments impacted your life, that's totally okay. We're going to talk more about that some today, but in future classes as well. Okay, so then I'd give kids time to obviously think and write your responses, and then I'd have them share with a partner their ideas, and then share the thoughts and ideas with the whole class. So I'd probably call in one or two volunteers, and one example of a potential answer I guess I could have for a student was that they knew Abraham Lincoln was the president. I'd say, that's correct, that's a nice answer, and we can talk more about his accomplishments that he had as a president, and so on. So like we previously talked about, Abraham Lincoln, I just want to give a basic overview about him before we jump into today's lesson. He was the 16th president of the United States, and he remained president of the Union during the Civil War. Does anyone know or remember which side the Union was? Correct, it was the North side. He was the president of the North and of the Union, and the Confederates at this point obviously were split apart from the Union and had a different president. Abraham Lincoln was also in favor of keeping the country unified, and his main goal was to end slavery, which was why the Civil War kind of took place in the first place. There's other reasons as well, but that's kind of the main focus. For today's class, we're going to do a gallery walk, and I'm going to explain further instructions on that. We're not going to do it right away, but I wanted to explain kind of what we're going to do before we jump into it. So for a gallery walk, we're going to have about 4 groups of people. We're going to split into 4 groups, and each group's going to have about 3 or 4 people in it, and each person in that group will be given 4 handouts. So each and every one of you is going to have 4 handouts that you're going to carry with you to each corner. Everyone's responsible for filling out their own charts. You'll have 5 to 7 minutes at each corner, and at each corner, first everyone's going to look at the material for about the first couple of minutes, and then you're going to talk about it with your group, and for the last couple of minutes, you're going to write your answers. I want you to do that in that order so everyone has a chance to look at the material, talk about it, and write about it. And everyone's going to have a chance to look at the artifacts and everything at each corner, so don't worry about that. I also want to take time to introduce some background knowledge about what's going to be talked about at each corner before you have to work on it with your partner groups. So at the first corner, you're going to have a handout labeled handout number 1, and it's going to talk about the first corner, and handout's going to talk about the Battle of Antietam. Here, I'll do this again. Which began and occurred in September in 1862. And for the South, the major general was General Robert E. Lee. For the North, it was General George B. McClellan. It took place in Sharpsburg, Maryland, and it was the first major battle fought on the Union side, so the north side of the country rather than the South. And its impact, it was the bloodiest day in the United States history thus far, with 22,717 people either dead, missing, or wounded. And then for you guys, when we start the gallery walk, you all will be analyzing an image, which looks like this. And then you're going to answer a few questions about the image. And for you guys, normally you would obviously have the handout, but I'll just show you what it looks like so that you don't have to keep clicking back and forth. So Battle of Antietam.